Hello, gardening friends. Welcome back to Soil Secret Studio. Today we're settling one of the most fascinating debates in soil science, and the answer might completely change how you approach building your garden's foundation. We're comparing biochar dust and wood ash, two amendments that gardeners have been using for generations, but only one truly deserves the title of soil transformer. By the end of this guide, you'll know exactly which one belongs in your beds and why the science behind these materials matters more than tradition ever could. Most gardeners treat soil amendments like a mystery box, tossing in whatever sounds good without understanding what's actually happening beneath the surface. Biochar dust and wood ash both come from burning organic matter, and both can affect your garden, but that's where the similarities end. One creates a permanent infrastructure that supports plant life for decades or even centuries. The other provides a temporary mineral boost that fades within a single growing season. The question isn't whether both work, it's which one actually transforms your soil into the thriving ecosystem your plants desperately need. Let's explore the science so you can make informed decisions that pay off year after year. Biochar begins its journey through a process called slow pyrolysis, where organic materials like wood, crop residues, or nutshells are heated to extremely high temperatures in an oxygen-free environment. This isn't simple burning. The lack of oxygen prevents complete combustion, creating a stable, carbon-rich material with an incredibly complex internal structure that resembles a microscopic honeycomb. When you examine biochar under magnification, you see thousands of tiny pores and channels that create massive surface area within a small volume. This structure is the key to everything biochar accomplishes in your garden. The physical benefits of biochar start with water management. Those microscopic pores act like tiny reservoirs, capturing moisture during irrigation or rainfall and slowly releasing it back to plant roots as the surrounding soil dries. This is particularly valuable in sandy soils that drain too quickly or in regions facing water restrictions. The improvement in water retention can reduce irrigation needs by, 20 to 30% in some soil types, making your garden more resilient during dry spells without any additional effort on your part. Beyond water, biochar excels at nutrient retention through its high cation exchange capacity. Positively charged nutrients like calcium, magnesium, and potassium are naturally attracted to biochar's negatively charged surfaces, where they bind and remain available for plant uptake, rather than washing away with every rain or watering. This means the fertilizers you apply work more efficiently, staying in the root zone where plants can access them instead of leaching into groundwater. Over time, this nutrient holding capacity actually increases. As the biochar surface oxidizes and develops even more binding sites, the biological benefits might be even more impressive than the physical ones. Biochar's porous structure creates protected habitats where beneficial bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms can establish colonies away from predators and environmental stress. These microbial communities are the workforce of healthy soil, breaking down organic matter, cycling nutrients, making minerals available to plants, and even protecting roots from pathogens. Research consistently shows that soils amended with biochar support significantly higher microbial biomass and diversity compared to unamended controls. You're essentially building an apartment complex for the beneficial organisms that make great gardens possible. Application requires some strategy to maximize benefits. Fresh biochar can temporarily tie up nitrogen as microbes colonize its surfaces, potentially slowing plant growth initially. The solution is charging your biochar before application by mixing it with compost, worm castings, or a diluted liquid fertilizer and letting it sit for a few weeks. This pre-inoculation gives microbes a head start and saturates some of those nutrient-binding sites. Once charged, incorporate biochar dust into the top 6 to 8 inches of garden beds at rates of 5 to 10% by volume, or mix it thoroughly into potting mixes for containers. You can also add it to compost piles where it will absorb nutrients and beneficial microbes simultaneously. Wood ash forms when organic matter burns completely in the presence of oxygen, consuming nearly all the carbon and leaving behind concentrated mineral compounds. What remains is primarily calcium carbonate, potassium hydroxide, and various other minerals that were originally part of the wood structure. The resulting material is extremely alkaline, often with a pH above 10, making it one of the most potent pH-adjusting amendments available to home gardeners. The primary benefit of wood ash is its ability to rapidly neutralize acidic soils. If your soil tests reveal a pH below 6, and you're growing vegetables or ornamentals that prefer neutral conditions, wood ash can raise that pH relatively quickly. The calcium carbonate it contains works similarly to agricultural lime, but acts faster because of its fine particle size and high solubility. This makes wood ash particularly useful when you need to correct severe acidity before planting acid-sensitive crops. Wood ash also delivers a substantial dose of potassium, an essential nutrient that supports flowering, fruiting, disease resistance, and overall plant vigor. Potassium levels in wood ash typically range from 5 to 7%, making it a legitimate fertilizer source. It also provides calcium and magnesium in meaningful amounts, contributing to cell wall strength and chlorophyll production. For gardeners managing soils naturally depleted in these minerals, wood ash offers a free, locally sourced solution, assuming you have access to a wood-burning stove or fireplace. However, wood ash requires careful handling to avoid problems. Its extreme alkalinity and high salt content mean that excessive application can damage plant roots, create nutrient imbalances, and push soil pH too high for most plants to thrive. You should never apply wood ash without first testing your soil pH, and even then, rates should stay below 10 to 15 pounds per 1,000 square feet annually. Only use ash from untreated, unpainted wood, since burning processed lumber or construction waste can concentrate heavy metals and toxic compounds in the ash. Unlike biochar, wood ash provides no long-term improvement to soil structure or water retention because it contains virtually no stable carbon. Its effects are entirely chemical and temporary. When we compare these amendments directly, biochar emerges as the superior choice for genuine soil transformation. Biochar addresses fundamental soil health through lasting improvements to physical structure, water dynamics, and biological activity. These benefits persist for decades or even centuries because biochar really does resist decomposition. So you're making a permanent investment in your soil's capacity to support plant life. Wood ash, by contrast, offers short-term chemical adjustments that address specific immediate problems like low pH or potassium deficiency, but it tends to dissolve and disappear within months. The synergy between these materials is worth considering in specific situations. If you're starting with very acidic soil that also suffers from poor structure and low organic matter, a combination approach makes sense. Apply a moderate amount of wood ash to jumpstart pH correction, then incorporate biochar that will provide ongoing pH buffering while simultaneously building the soil's physical and biological foundation. Research shows that biochar and compost combinations produce particularly strong growth responses, and adding a small amount of wood ash to this mix can work well when pH adjustment is genuinely needed. The key is recognizing that biochar does the heavy lifting for long-term transformation, while wood ash plays a supporting role in specific circumstances. For transforming gardens into thriving, resilient ecosystems, biochar is unquestionably the superior amendment. Its stable carbon structure creates permanent improvements in water retention, nutrient efficiency, and microbial habitat that compound over time, rather than fading after a single season. Wood ash has its place as a fast-acting pH adjuster and potassium source, but it really cannot build the soil infrastructure that separates struggling gardens from exceptional ones. Your action plan starts with sourcing quality biochar dust, or making your own if you have access to a biochar kiln. Charge it properly by mixing with compost or fertilizer solution, then incorporate it into your beds before planting. Start with small test areas if you're hesitant, but the research and centuries of traditional use in places like the Amazon basin speak clearly about biochar's transformative potential. If you're dealing with acidic soil, test first and consider a modest wood ash application alongside your biochar. But recognize that biochar is doing the real work of soil building. We'd love to hear about your experiences with either or both of these amendments in the comments below. If you found this guide valuable, please subscribe to Soil Secrets Studio for more science-backed gardening insights that help you grow better plants with less guesswork. Share this with fellow gardeners who are ready to move beyond surface-level solutions and build truly exceptional soil. Here's to your most productive growing season yet.